G'day fellas, welcome to Viper Watch. Spawning in the north of the map, it is of course the Viper, and he is playing the English. His opponent, who spawns opposite from him in the south of the map, it is Alshat, and he is playing the French. I'm looking forward to this game, and the reason why is because we've got, not only do we have Viper, who's an incredible player, but we've got Viper, who's going to be playing in an incredibly difficult matchup. The French are considered by most, in fact, I would say by almost everybody, at the top level to be the best water civ. Full stop. Full stop, no return, no takebacks, no nothing. It's like, French is so far above everybody else. So the question is Alshat actually going to be able to beat Viper? Now, already looking at his start, I'm quite concerned. And the reason why is because he doesn't look like he's going for fish. So maybe this wasn't the best game to choose to cast for the Viper. But we will see, we will watch, we will find out. We will seek to clarify whether Alshat is going to be able to take down the Viper. Now, for anybody wondering why the French is actually the best civilization on water, let's talk a little bit about it. So, the best way to think about water at the moment is that you've got three different options. Or not three different options, I shouldn't say, but you've got a paper, rock, scissors that occurs on water. So, what happens is in Age 2, everybody gets access to a archer ship, okay? The archer ship fires lots of arrows, but they're not very powerful. And these are countered by sort of the attack ship, which is in the middle or available to you in the castle age. And this ship has got high armor. So the attacks from the arrow ships don't do a lot of damage to it. And as a result, it counters them very effectively. They also have very high damage. Now, this ship, it's countered by what I like to call the battleships. So that's things like the Zebek. I can't remember all the other names, but they're like the really big boys that are available in the Imperial Age. That's what counters those guys. Now, you might be wondering, okay, well, how the hell do I counter the big battleships if they kill everybody? Well, they don't. The battleships are very slow, and they're actually countered by the fire ships. The fire ships, very quick, explosive damage, do a lot of damage. And then you might be wondering, okay, well, hold on, how do I counter fire ships? Back to the beginning. What was the very first ship that we mentioned? It was the arrow ship. So the arrow ship gets a bonus against fire ship. So you can see it's like a beautiful circle of life. The arrow ship counters the fire ship counters the battleship counters the attack ship. Now, when it comes to the reason why the French are the strongest civ, every single civilization gets an arrow or an archer ship in Age 2, except for the French. You know what they get? They get an attack ship. Whoa, that was the wrong button. There you go. That's what I wanted to do. They get an attack ship, which is called the Hulk. And the Hulk is strong against arrow ships and has lower maneuverability. The French is the only civilization that gets access to the Hulk in Age 2. And you can see it's expensive, but it is incredibly strong against enemy ships, especially in the Second Age. Now, the question for Viper is, how is he actually going to be able to counter it? Because when we take a look at the ships that Viper has got access to, Viper's got access to the Hulk in Age 3, in the Castle Age. But in the Second Age, he's only got access to the galley, which we've talked about before. It's an archer ship. Okay, so he's got a couple of options, whether that is something like a fast castle, where he looks to get up to the Third Age as quickly as possible so that he can then access the Hulk as well, and then fight toe-to-toe with his enemy's Hulks. But if he does that, then he might be in a bit of a difficult spot because, as you can see, he's got fishing boats out here, and the longer he delays any sort of presence out here, militaristic presence out here, then it's going to mean that his opponent is going to begin building up that presence. And so, as a consequence, it makes it very difficult for a fast castle like that to actually work. So, Alshat is going to be going for that School of Cavalry on his island. So, already bit curious decision making. I'm curious to see whether he's actually going to be able to make this work or not. So most people, when they're playing French, what you want to be doing on water maps, you want to open up with your dock. So get all of your villagers over onto wood, get that dock down as quickly as possible, and start making these fishing boats. You can see he's on the deep water fish, which is the correct play. But typically on this map, you don't actually need to go for the School of Cavalry. It's one of the few maps where you actually go for the other landmark. Now, I don't actually know what that landmark's called because I so rarely use it. I think it's the Chamber of Commerce, actually. I do... My memory is not too bad. But the Chamber of Commerce is typically what you would go for on this map. And the reason why is because what you're going to be doing is you're going to be saturating all of this fish He doesn't actually have a lot of fish, actually, if we take a look. Let's have a look, uncover the minimap. He's got a couple out here, actually. But you want to be saturating all that fish with fishing boats, okay? And then when you get up to the next age, you're going to be selling all that food that you're gathering for gold. And all of your villages are going to be on wood, and then you're going to have plenty of resources so that you can build 2 hulks at the same time. Then you can push the enemy base. But we take a look over at Viper's base, and oh my lord, is that the Abbey of Kings? Viper going for the most underused landmark in the game right here. This landmark has been built a total of 6 times in 140 million Age of Empires 4 games. So incredible, you know, that is impressive stuff. Not really. I just, look, 69% of statistics are made up on the spot, and those ones are statistics that I just made up. But this is a very uncommon landmark to see. The Abbey of Kings is probably the rarest landmark that you will have in this game. Primarily because the Council Hall is so damn strong. So the Council Hall for the English is the equivalent of 2 archery ranges. The Abbey of Kings, the reason why it's just so weak is because it doesn't really synergize well with the bonuses that the English get. A little bit of a scout ship coming out now for the French player. Fishing boat just coming over to say g'day. Greet his neighbor over on the opposite island. New age begins for Viper. Viper reaches that 2nd age. So just to talk about the Abbey of Kings, the way that it works is it heals all nearby friendly units that are out of combat by +4 every 1.5 seconds. So to be out of combat, you need to be out of combat for 15 seconds. So you either took damage 15 seconds ago, or you, oh my lord. Oh my lord, it's happening. It's the fast castle. Viper going for the fastest castle in the West. This is not the White Castle, as many people would think it could be, even though it does look quite delicious. It's actually the White Tower. So Viper going to be putting this down. This is a great play. I really like this. I think this is actually incredibly smart against the French player, because French player now only having hulks out, going to begin moving across the map. Just a single hulk. And probably going to be up right in time. My main concern is that if the hulk got here a little bit earlier, villages on the coastline could have potentially been taken out. Hulk now going to be coming out and saying g'day, getting his big green hand amongst the mix. But we see the fishing boats healing up their friends, saying, oh no, the Hulk is too big. But now the White Tower going to come out. Let's see if it potentially looks at taking out a couple of villages on the shoreline. Doesn't look like it. Does he spot the White Tower? We'll check out on his perspective. He does see the White Tower. White Tower now up. Going to begin firing off those arrows. And look how much damage that White Tower does to those Hulks. Too much bloody damage. I tell you what, that is ridiculous. This White Tower is doing, let's have a look. It is doing a total of 25 plus 25 to ships, so 37 damage to ships. So completely bypassing the 6 armor, doing 31 damage an arrow. That is ludicrous, and I love this completely. I think this definitely works in the event that you've got access to safe fish. So what do I mean by that? Like under here. You can see that there is a range on this, but as an example, if he was to move his Hulk out to here, highly likely that the Hulk would not be shot by the White Tower, and subsequently would be able to force Viper off the fish. 2nd Hulk now going to be coming out, looking to build up a bit of a blockade here against Viper. We'll take a look over at Alshat's perspective and see what he's up to. Gosh, I'm getting those buttons confused. I do apologize. Doesn't look like he's looking to age up. Putting down a lot of houses right now. Definitely not a homeless individual. We can say that much. Viper now moving back towards his dock, and Hulk now going to be coming out for Viper. Now, I suspect there's going to be absolutely no way Alshat's going to be able to defend against this, because Viper has got the micro moves. Look at that. The Viper doing the Melbourne shuffle right there, just switching back and forth. So for anybody wondering exactly what's happening here, on your Hulks, you have harpoons on either side, or cannons, or whatever you'd call them. What are they called? Ballistas on either side. And each one has got an individual cooldown different from its opposite side. You can see there's one cooldown. There's the second one. Here's the first one. Now it goes up. Look at the second shot. It actually went right as the end, but you can watch there. You can see right there. So Viper doing an impressive job out microing 2 Hulks there, combined with his White Tower, and really putting the moves on. I absolutely love that. I think that was so smart. And now he's got access to demos. Incredible. Oh, this is actually going to be insane, because now the demo comes in. He doesn't have enough Hulks to deal with this. If this demo collides, this is going to be 2 ships down. Man down, man down. Hulk going down to 212 HP. Viper's going to be able to do his rings around the rosy here, potentially. And the second one actually went down with that. Viper's huge right now. Viper is pulling out next level strategies right now, and I tell you what, if he's actually doing this for a tournament, I kind of feel bad, because I'm kind of outing just how good this strategy is. This is legit. My question is, if Alshat had gone for a more optimized build order, could he potentially have outnumbered the Viper? Because this is quite early in the game, 10 minutes. And now Viper is in the third age. He's got this White Castle up. So look, I'll be honest with you guys. It's not a town center, but it's still, you know, he's in the third age. He's got access to demos, which is significant. His enemy, I mean, he's sitting over here. He hasn't really done a lot of booming. He's got a lot of docks. I'll say that much. He's got a lot of docks, not a lot of fishing boats. You know, people often ask me, Drongo, how many docks is too many docks? 5 docks is probably bordering on that number of too many docks. That is a lot of docks, especially for this stage of the game. As the game goes on, add more docks in, but I feel like it might be a little bit too early to add in that 5th dock just at this point. Viper now looking pretty darn good. You can see this score up by about 200. France still maintaining that closeness, that proximity. Viper going to be dropping down a 2nd and a 3rd dock. 4th dock potentially going down over here. It is just a scout. Shipwrights now getting completed for Viper. For anybody wondering what shipwrights is, that is the unique technology for the English. The English have got access to shipwrights. No other civilization does, and that reduces the cost of all your ships. Now, I don't know whether it's all ships. It is, in fact, all ships. The fishing boat is included. Reduces the cost by 10%. So quite a significant buff. Now, I guess the most interesting part of this for me is the English have better hulks than the French. Why do they have better hulks? Take a look at the range difference. This is a hulk from the French, okay? And he's got 6 tiles of range. Compare that to an English hulk. It's got 7 tiles of range, which is 1 extra range. And you might not think that makes a big difference. But when you start getting into serious numbers with these guys, you know, 10, 12, 14 hulks, battling it out against 14 hulks, that extra range makes all the difference on whether those shots get off or not, and it's so important. First fishing boat going to be going down. Viper doing a good job switching over to the opposite side. Now you see, just see how beautiful that micro is. Look at the way that he does it. His micro is 100% on point right now, really demonstrating why he is the greatest of all time right here. A little bit of funky lights going on right here. I don't know exactly what's happened up there, but we'll remove that. But Viper demonstrating once again, continuing to push back here. And in addition to that, he's going to have access to those 3rd age demo ships, as well as those 3rd age upgrades. Viper also looks to have gotten the ballista upgrade potentially for these. I'm not too sure. We'll have to double check in on that. He's got to be careful getting repelled here. 5 hulks, plenty of fishing boats, as well as the dock is going to give him a defensive advantage here. I'm going to try and avoid this area of the water. It seems to be bugging out something chronic. But let's take a look up towards the north. Viper now going to be getting out more hulks, and more hulks. Plenty of hulks beginning to build up. So I would expect as the game continues to move forward, we do see more upgrades come through. Say this one here, Navigator Lookout, which is going to increase the weapon range again of these hulks. Really give you a significant advantage against your enemy. Maybe even Extra Ballista, which would be nice. A very creative name right there, Extra Ballista. Compare that to like Navigator Lookout, Extra Ballista. That's a good name. But now Hulk's going to be moving back in towards the safety of their docks. And look at the Hulk mass that is beginning to build for Viper at this point. We'll do a little bit of a stock take, 52 villages for Viper. We'll compare that over to his opponent, who sits on 70 villages at the moment. Now, that is quite significant. A lot of that is built up by the fishing boats. We'll take a look. That's actually a demo right there. 19 fishing boats. Now, keep in mind, he is playing the French. French as a civilization typically are going to have more villages than their enemies. We see 40 villages right here. Plenty of villages up here as well. So definitely looking about 33% of his population, or economic population rather, to be fishing boats. Compare that to Viper, sitting on that 54 number. And only quite a few fishing boats out here. Not too many at all. 7. There's an 8th fishing boat. So yeah, just a handful of fishing boats for Viper at this point. But now going to potentially look at adding in his extended line upgrade. So if I remember correctly, that is the first tier. So there's 2 tiers of fishing upgrades that you can, or at least some civs can have access to. And now we've got a little bit of a cheeky expand coming out over on the eastern island. Now on this map, it actually looks to have spawned pretty well. Over on the west island, there is 1 gold. Over on the east island, there are 2 golds. So when it comes to gold count, it's going to be pretty balanced. But 1, 2, 3 golds in the base of Viper. 1, 2, 3 golds in the base of his enemy. So I don't think they're really going to be fighting over golds. Mainly going to be over those sacred sites that are really going to be important. Because on maps like this, or typically on this map as well as Warring Islands, you are going to see a lot of Sacred Site victories. Well, not even necessarily victories, but a lot of people going for the Sacred Sites. Just because these games do tend to be longer games, it is quite possible to see landmark or wonders built in these games, and all of these fishing boats going to be going down. Viper doing a great job here, and you can see he's just really keeping his boats on standby so much. Very, very careful, not leaving them unmarked or unguarded. You can see that just how many, like the way that he is moving them, he does not want his enemy to have any chance of getting any demos onto him. So you might be wondering, you know, at this point, what's the best way to potentially deal with your enemy who's got a larger mass than you? And you can see how he's running in these demo ships right here, and they're just so easily picked off. So the best thing to do is actually to take advantage of the seaweed. Now, I don't know what it's actually called, whether you want to call it the brush or something like that, but on these maps, occasionally, there is seaweed that spawns, and your enemy can't actually see into that seaweed. So you want to try your best to bait them into it, but it looks like on this map that there might actually not be any seaweed. I'm looking at the mini-map. It doesn't look like there's any seaweed at all with the exception of this patch right here. So a little bit unfortunate of a spawn for the French player. Alshat's still managing to actually go pretty decently in score. You know, I will just say this about the French. Or not about the French, about Alshat. I don't know much about Alshat. He could be a really, really good StarCraft player. Okay, but from the build order that I saw at the beginning, it was clear to me that it wasn't as refined as the Viper's build order. And I will just say that I'm very impressed that he's able to keep up to this extent with the Viper, because Viper is, you know, the build order that he has done right here, his execution of it was absolutely immaculate. Now going up to the 4th age with the Berkshire Palace as well. Really looking good. I'm expecting that we're probably going to be seeing some Carracks coming out of him. We see some more Hulks coming out. Actually getting the attack ship upgrade, the demolition ship technology. More Hulks coming out, so not actually going for those Carracks. Curious, has he dropped a market, Viper? Doesn't actually look like he's dropped a market, so he hasn't done any market trading whatsoever. Now going to have plenty of demos coming out. Got to be careful with these demos. You got to try and leave them back. It can be difficult though. Demos are very difficult to get to connect with your opponent, as I mentioned before. Unless you can sort of get a flanking maneuver on them, you're highly likely to not succeed with your demos. So potentially if Viper was to bring some demos around here, have some demos over here and try and bait his opponent up through this way, that could potentially work. In a bit of a difficult spot now. Viper looking to take on his enemy. You see those demos coming in from the north, looking to do a little bit of a flanking maneuver. Viper not actually using his micro at all, so not doing the switcheroo. More demos going to be taken down. We see that one boat does go down. Let's take a look and see. This demo looks like it might actually connect. The French unique boat is out. The Galleass transport ship managing to take the brunt of that explosive demo right there. But now we've got the unique Galleass out for the French. So this is the first unique ship that we've seen out here today. This is a forward-facing cannon ship, so it's a bombard ship. It's got a big cannon on the front. You can see it's putting out plenty of damage right there. 9 tiles of damage, so quite a long range, and once again, hitting that shot. Now, I don't know whether it's got any AoE, but it's very similar to the Carrack, just a little bit smaller. Keep in mind that the French do indeed have access to the Carrack as well once they get up to the Imperial Age. But now Viper continues to retreat somewhat. And definitely the right decision. I feel like in this perspective, or at this point, he probably wants to just hide a few demos out here, a few out to this side, just so his enemy has a more difficult time of dealing with it. More demos going to be coming in now. But Viper looking like he might actually get pushed up against the ropes. A couple demos coming out, and you can just see how quickly they're going to get picked off. They're not getting picked off at all. It looks like he's actually connected with the Hulks, rather. And now the demos all get sunk together. I don't know exactly what happened there. It was almost like he just left them, and the White Tower took him out. Could have been, it might have actually been the Berkshire Palace. This thing has an absolutely crazy range, but almost looking like Viper was gonna go down there, but managing to break even. No Carracks coming out just yet. Anti-structure specialist, and now look at this. Now Alshat's going for the middle island as well. He is absolutely playing all over this place, going for a siege workshop as well. This is incredible. I've got no clue who this guy is, and he's putting on an absolute show against Viper right now. Gonna continue having a bit of a difficult time. Viper up about 200 in score at the moment, and I tell you what, I'm impressed with Alshat. I am really impressed. A little bit of a raid coming down to the south. Viper with 3 Hulks now. Gonna be doing his best. Oh, that's actually Viper that's landed. I didn't realize Viper has landed on the middle island, and he's come to say good day. Has he actually spotted this one out? I'm just gonna take a look. Doesn't look like he has. No, it doesn't look like he has. Castle on the south side of the island, though. They're going to be cleaning this up completely. Viper definitely looking like he's in a little bit of a tough spot. But you guys see how quickly that Hulk moved? Just as it got away, it did this little bit of a zoom past. Now Viper heading down towards the south. And so, as the game continues to move on, we look towards what are the victory conditions here? What are the ways that the players can actually win this game? I would say the victory condition number one that I would be going for in this matchup or on this map in particular is a sacred site victory. So I would be looking to secure the sacred sites. That would be the first thing. And then I would be looking to fortify the position. So ideally, I would be getting on my big stone at the back here. You can see there's 3,000 stone here, almost enough for 4 castles. And then in addition to that, you got this stone in the middle here, another 3,000. So you can almost get up to 8 castles with that. And you just want to go to castle heaven, baby. You just want to put down so many castles here. You also, as the French, you're going to have access to things like, I think it's the Red Fortress. Obviously, as the English, the Berkshire Palace, which really isn't doing a lot here. But if you put it over here, next to these sacred sites, definitely an option. So that is option number 1. Option number 2 is the Wonder Victory. So the Wonder Victory definitely being a favorite of many. So with the Wonder Victory, basically you put the Wonder back up in the corner and you wait 15 minutes, you go AFK, you come back and you've got your victory. Well, it's not that easy, but typically you would expect to see some sort of challenge to that Wonder. Keep in mind that when it comes to a Wonder Victory, if you see your enemy has dropped down that Wonder and starts ticking down 15 minutes, it's going to be very slow. To get a Sacred Site victory, it's only 10 minutes to get the Sacred Site victory. And so with that, there's actually a little bit of a counterplay that you can have. If your enemy makes a Wonder in this corner, you can go and take the Sacred Sites and do a little bit of a dirty on them. Because they're thinking, I'm just going to defend my Wonder and I'm going to win the game. Not so fast, my friend. Viper going to be putting down this keep. So when it comes to the third way that you can win this game, Town Center going to be going down in this middle of the island. Now, keep in mind, when it comes to this middle island, this is a pivotal island when it comes to controlling the water around it. But realistically, when it comes to resources, it is not too rich. It's got stone outcroppings, it's got a large forest, but that's really it when you compare it over to, say, the gold veins, the jewel gold veins over on the East Island, as well as the Sacred Site, also the trading post, the coastal trading post over here. And Viper got the trade ships out right now. Take a look how much these trade ships are going to be bringing in for Viper. 161 gold, 80 food. Viper is, you know what? Just because Viper has started trading, I'm calling it already. I'm going to call it for Viper. This right here is exactly what you want to be doing. Trading is absolutely ludicrous in Age of Empires 4 when it comes to coastal trading, because you bring in wood as well as gold. And that's what's so important. You can just see how many resources are being brought in right there. And Viper realizes, he's like, holy shit, look at that resource. And he started making a whole bunch of trade. He's got plenty of them out there on the map now. So the third way that you can win is just through total domination. So that's where you basically just clear out your enemy as effectively as possible. So whether you do that through, a whole bunch of demos, or you just simply outplay them, or you pick France, there's a lot of different ways that you can do that. But Civilization Micro is often one of those things. So let's take a look over towards the middle island. Viper going to be able to do more than enough here. Castle on the south of the island doesn't really achieve a lot. But he's completely outmatched. Like, when you look at this, 15 Hulks here. Does he have the range upgrade? He does have the range upgrade. 8 range over here versus 7 range of his opponent. Do have the ballistas on here. Demo ship's going to be moving in now towards the south. Viper beginning to pull ahead in score, up about 800 points at this point. And it begs the question, how possibly could Alshat get back into this game? A little bit of a shuffle happening on this backline as well, as Viper continues to head down to the coastline, and the Demolition Derby has happened right now. Carracks are now on the backside. All of the ships have gone down for Alshat. There's 3 big bad boy Carracks out right now. They say that they're slow moving. These things are absolutely pacing it right now. And Viper hits the absolute insane demo right there. I tell you what, a lot of people talk poorly about these maps, Archipelago, Warring Islands, but I tell you what, they put on some absolute insane games. Viper going to be putting Baby in the corner right now as the Carracks try their best to move away. And it looks like it's going to be a bit of a difficult spot. The Red Palace now coming in the defensive landmark in a great spot right here. This thing fucks. That is the best way to say it. This thing absolutely fucks, man. Do not go near this thing. It will rip you apart. It fires so fast. 110 damage to enemy ships. You can see it right there, 60 Arbalest plus 50 to ships. It's going to be doing so much damage right here. And Viper looking incredibly strong right now as he pushes into the corner of his enemy's base. These Carracks need to get back underneath this Red Palace. I tell you what, it's not a terrible Red Palace position, but unless these Carracks get underneath it, it's going to look even worse. Viper now completely dominating his opponent. Remember earlier we talked about the 3 possible ways that you could win this game on this map, and it looks like Viper has elected to go with option number 3. Absolute domination here. And I suspect that we're going to be seeing a GG called any second now, because Viper is going to be able to run rampant through this shoreline, completely clean up his opponent. And that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Viper Watch is concluded. I hope you've enjoyed this game, and Viper puts on an absolute stellar performance. GG, well played, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.